Oh yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
yeah, so I'm gonna jump right into it because I know you less than a month out. But I want to ask, like, the first question is, can you talk a little bit about what your experience has been like working with Turkey? You're one of the first American fighters to really take that step and be an ambassador with that movement. So can you talk a little bit about what that's been like?
Well, my experience with Turkey has been, you know, a pleasure.
Hmm.
Everything has been straight down the line. Everything's been good. The conversation's been great. Um, Personality has been great, and everything that I've experienced from him and his team and everybody around him has been nothing but respect and um, looking forward to the future.
For sure. Okay. Now your opponent coming up on August 3rd is Israil Madrimov. So I believe I saw you guys have a meeting where you had an opportunity to see him face to face. Talk a little bit about what you knew about him before all this started to happen, how acquainted you were with him, and kind of what was your first thought when you got a chance to look at him, like, kind of eye to eye.
Well, I knew he was a decorated amateur.
Hmm.
I knew from his previous fight that he was tough, he was big, he was strong. Um, he had good movement and can punch. Um, our first encounter, it was just all respect. You know, I didn't see fit for him to disrespect me. I didn't see fit for me to disrespect him. So it was just all respect from day one.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed that's one thing I always notice, like with your fights, generally you're not the one that goes there first. It's like if somebody brings that, then you match that energy, but generally you're not the one that goes there first. Why is it that you kind of go that way?
Because man, I just always felt as if we are doing this for the same reason, and that's to provide for our family and make a way for ourselves in the sport that we also call love. So there's no need to disrespect anyone or talk crazy to people when there's no need. We're gonna fight anyway. That's gonna determine who's the better fighter. So yeah, but when people call themselves want to come in and get under my skin or promote the fight in a way that they feel is better for them to talk crazy, man, so be it, man. Here we go.
What does that tell you when you see a fighter do that? Does that always reek, oh, this guy, he ain't really confident? Or what does it say? Does it's different depending on the person?
No, it's just different personalities. Some
Hmm.
people just want to let you know out the gate that, they coming for your head and,
Hmm.
they don't care nothing about you and so forth. And some people, they just quiet, cool, calm, and collect and just want to show you come fight time.
Hmm. Okay. Now I gotta ask because I had saw I can't remember where you were at, but I saw you walking and you were talking about you mentioned Canelo and how you at this stage of your career, all the stuff you accomplished, that kind of fight is the type of thing that's interesting to you. How interested are you still in that fight? And if you are, when might we see that happen?
Well, right now my main focus is on Israel. I'm not
Hmm.
thinking about Canelo right at this moment. And after this fight, we maybe can visit that fight. But right now, my main focus is Israel.
Okay. All right. Now, at 154 pounds, obviously it's a whole different challenge for you because most of your career obviously has been lower than that. Um, do you see this as, at this point in your life and your career, is this just a way easier space for you to fight in terms of at 154 pounds? Or is it like, hey, I'm up here because I this is where I'm just ascending, looking for new challenges, or is this an easier space for you to compete in?
I think given the the weight, the age, just everything that's surrounding my career,
Mhm.
154 is the best weight for me at this moment.
Mhm.
Um, I think I will be stronger. I think even though I'm going up against bigger guys,
Hmm.
I just think I just be at a place where I can perform better.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I gotta ask you, because I know, I've seen you post some stuff on social media about it, and I've obviously seen you guys together. I gotta ask you about Shakur because you guys he's traveling a path, obviously, that you've been on at some point in time. So when you saw Saturday's fight, uh, and you saw like some of the things that were happening with the camera, showing the audience and all that, what was your first reaction? Because I saw some fighters, I saw Ishe Smith respond to it. I saw some other cats on there respond to it. What was your thought, being that you've walked this path before? What was your thought when you saw that?
Well, those ain't real supporters.
Hmm.
You can't worry about those individuals. It was kind of odd how all those people got up at the same exact time
Hmm.
and walked out. So it's kind of seemed to me as if it was planned,
Hmm.
but at the same time, who cares?
Hmm.
They all paid their money to come and see him fight, and he looked sharp and he won in flying colors, and so be it.
Yeah, yeah. As a guy who is like your guy's fighting style is obviously a little bit different. Every fight is different, but because you know him so well. You've been in the gym with him. You know what kind of talent he is. Um, does it pain you to watch him kind of in some ways be underappreciated and under recognized, or you look at that as just like, oh, this is just part of the business. All of us have to go through this.
All the greats have been through those type of adversity moments.
Mhm.
People talked bad about Floyd Mayweather.
Mhm.
People talk bad about me. People talk bad about Ali. People gonna talk bad about the great ones. You
Mhm.
know, they want him to be basic. They
Mhm.
want him to sit in front of a guy and slug it out with him for they can say, "Oh, that was a great fight. That
Mhm.
was a wonderful fight." Shakur Stevenson got his head banged out, but he won the fight. That's
Mhm.
what they want. But
Mhm.
that's not the name of the game. The name of the game is called boxing for a reason. Hit and not get hit. I think people need to re-look up the definition of boxing.
Mhm.
You got a lot of people that claim they know boxing and they follow boxing and they got their YouTube channels and they got their podcasts, but they really don't know boxing. Yeah, they watch boxing, but they don't even know what they're watching half of the time. They look at boxing and they say, "Well, he wasn't fighting." Oh, I want to see a good fight. Oh, I want to see these two guys fight. It's always fighting. But that ain't the name of the game. It's called boxing. Why don't they say, "Oh, I want to see Tank box Shakur"? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a boxing match, not a fighting match. If you want to watch fighting, then there's other things like UFC. They fight. They use their feet. They use, the elbows. They kick you. They do a lot of things. But when we talking about the martial arts of boxing, it's a science to boxing. And I just want people to, know the definition of boxing.
Have you ever found yourself maybe falling into that in your own career, like fights you had in the past where you kind of caught yourself leaning into that, like
We
the
all
crowd
do.
wants me to do this or
We
whatever.
all do. We all do. We all want to be crowd pleasers because the more you please the crowd, the more your name get recognition, the more that people get to talking about you, and the more your value evolves. But at the same time, look at those fighters that was crowd pleasers and was trying to do everything for the crowd, and they lost their life,
Hmm.
or they got in a bad injury and they couldn't box anymore. Where's
Hmm.
all those crowd pleasing people that was cheering those fighters on, and this fighter can't fight no more, and that's hospitalized, that nobody come to see. Nobody's paying for their doctor bills. Nobody is chanting them on anymore. What
Mhm.
about those fighters that lost their life, trying to be a crowd pleaser and fight a fight that they shouldn't have fought, but they, I mean, listening to the crowd and lost their life? Is the crowd or the people, taking care of their family? Is they sending letters, talking to their family and telling them how great they child was or anything, or their father or their son? Things like that, us fighters got to think about
Mhm.
when we in the ring. We not just fighting just the fight. Like, you really can lose your life in the ring. So it's not a game. It's not something that you can say, "Oh, time out. He hit me in my head. I'm dizzy." People really get battered and hurt in boxing. Then when you see those fighters years after they didn't retired and they couldn't talk a sentence or comprehend anything, or then lost their whole money because bad investments, or they wasn't smart enough to invest their money in anything. Now what? Where's all those crowd pleasing people that was chatting this fighter on once upon a time? It's in with the old, out with the old, in with the new.
Mhm.
Oh, he's washed up. That's what they say. Oh, he's washed up. He's nothing. We on to this guy. So you gotta think about things like that as a
Yeah. Yeah. I want to ask you, is there, I know you were mentioning you're focusing on Madrimov, and I 100% understand that, but I got to ask you, is there ever a possibility where you would rematch Errol Spence? Or is he in a position where he needs to win again before that makes sense for you?
The possibility is there.
Hmm.
He's fighting for his title. I'm fighting for a title, and they're the possibility. He win his fight, God willing. I win my fight, God willing, and there's your possibility right there.
Yeah. All right, man. I appreciate your time for sure, man.